The Supreme Court of India has passed a landmark judgment upholding the union government's decision to amend Article 370 to end the special status for the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. But what is Article 370 and what is the history behind it? Here's a WION explainer to sum up the Kashmir question.
As India began its tryst with destiny after attaining independence, several princely states in the Indian subcontinent had a choice. Either join the Indian Dominion or join the newly formed state of Pakistan. Out of the 562 states under the British Crown, 3 key states, Junagadh, Hyderabad and Kashmir, could not immediately make up their minds. Kashmir was yet undecided on the question of accession when armed tribals from Pakistan's northwest frontier entered Kashmir in August 1947. Compelled to protect his state, Maharaja Hari Singh of Jammu and Kashmir signed the Treaty of Accession with India in exchange for security. But the Maharaja agreed to allow the Indian Parliament to govern only on 3 subjects: foreign affairs, defence and communications. Which is why the Indian Constitution had a crucial clause, Article 370, that stipulated that India will not make laws in Jammu and Kashmir outside the instrument of accession without the concurrence of the state government. It also said that except Article 1 and Article 370, the Indian Constitution will not apply to Jammu and Kashmir. Article 370 also could not be amended without the consent of J&K's Constituent Assembly. The next decade saw many developments. The National Conference Party and its leader Sheikh Abdullah formed a Constituent Assembly for Kashmir and entered the Delhi Agreement with Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. It declared that even residual powers of the Union were out of scope for Kashmir. Article 35A was introduced in the Indian Constitution, conferring special rights to Kashmir's permanent citizens. In 1956, the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir came into force and its Constituent Assembly was dissolved. This made Kashmir the only state in India to have its own constitution and internal sovereignty. Further, the Supreme Court ruled that all orders of the Indian President were subject to the approval of Kashmir's Constituent Assembly. In the 1960s and 70s, the Supreme Court passed further judgments on Kashmir. The President was empowered to make minor changes to Article 370, and that the article itself was a permanent feature of the Constitution. Fast forward to the 2000s. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP government came to power in 2014 with a poll promise to do away with Kashmir's internal sovereignty. But the Supreme Court ruled in 2016 that Article 370 will cease to exist only upon recommendation of the Constituent Assembly. This is the same assembly that was dissolved in 1956, and from here the transformation of the territory begins. The Bharatiya Janata Party withdrew its support from the People's Democratic Party in Kashmir. The government fell and governor's rule was imposed. And since governor's rule cannot last more than 6 months, president's rule came into effect, which meant the Indian Parliament and President replaced the state's Legislative Assembly and governor. On the 5th of August, President Ramnath Kovind passed the order amending Article 367 and replacing Kashmir's Constituent Assembly with the Legislative Assembly. Since there was President's rule in Kashmir, the Legislative Assembly effectively meant the Indian Parliament. Once this was settled, the Parliament of India cleared all obstacles for the full and final integration of Kashmir into India. On the 6th of August, the Indian Parliament used Clause 3 of Article 370. The President's order ceased operation of all clauses of Article 370 except the first Clause 1 that empowers the Indian Constitution to work in the territory. And on August 9th, the Parliament passed the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganisation Act 2019. The state was bifurcated into 2 union territories. A new union territory called Ladakh was carved out of it. The constitutionality of the order was immediately challenged in the top court. Which brings us to the present. The Supreme Court has given its verdict and has upheld the Indian Parliament's action. The Constitution Bench, led by Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, unanimously upheld the decision on the grounds that Article 370 was merely a transitionary provision. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.